Hello, this is Crypto CJ. It's the trade of the day, Monday night, and Bitcoin went mostly sideways over the weekend, dipping down a little bit today. Did hit 25K, but rejected, and now struggling to hold on to 24K. Dipped a little bit below that earlier. Now just kind of hovering in that zone. Let's go to my Bitcoin chart. Okay, you guys should be seeing my day chart for Bitcoin. You see it, Craig? Oh,
Yeah, I
all
can
right.
see it.
Thank you. Usually you chime right in, but maybe I lost you there for a minute. Let's see where
I had my microphone muted and I can't get to the right screen to unmute it.
okay, no worries. All right, so yeah, we're still stuck in this 24.4 resistance. It did go a little bit above that, like 24.450 or something like that here on the close on Sunday, but we wicked above it a few times, didn't hold. 24.4 seems to be 24.5 in that range. Mid 24 seems to be the current resistance. Until we get a close above that, I'm concerned about us moving upwards and wondering if we're going to bounce off that and drift down maybe to this resistance or support here around 22.6, 22.7. We'll see. Since the overall trend has been up, I'm optimistic that since today's been mostly a red day, we do have some green now because we just changed over UTC time. So, but the day was mostly red before that time change. And saw a couple articles that I thought were going to be useful. Maybe they were on Ethereum. Let's go to Ethereum now. So Ethereum punched through 2000 yesterday. So that was exciting, but couldn't hold it. Dropped below, dropped into the 1900s and even dipped a little bit below that a little while ago. So 2000 seems to be the resistance for Ethereum. And this is the article I was looking at earlier. Hits new milestone, which was the 2000 I just described. Investors are accumulating ahead of the merge, which allegedly is supposed to happen in September. I'll believe it when I see it. As you know, I am an Ethereum merge skeptic. Been hearing about this ever since I've been in crypto. Not happened yet, but I am optimistic because I do have a small bag of Ethereum. I wouldn't mind if it kept going up. But then again, this could be a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing. We'll see. This writer thinks we're going down to 1800. So kind of in a no man's land with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Any questions or comments on the current state of the market and our two favorites, Bitcoin and Ethereum? Okay. Jumping over to Altcoin Alert pretty early if you guys don't want to chat about the market overall. Very well. Altcoin Alert. Okay, I've got the altcoin radar up. I don't care for the dashboard version, and I've got the easy mode off. I want all the information. My first sort's going to be by the AA score. And we have not had a decent bullish AA score in what, over 2-3 weeks? That's been disappointing. I'm looking for values 80 and above. So if I don't see those, I really don't look at these based on this sort in and of itself. My next sort, which usually does produce some results, is the long-term sentiment sort, this one here. And quick review, the sentiment score is unique to Altcoin Alert. It's the Twitter data, what are people talking about, the word on the street. The long-term compares, well, you can hover over this question mark to find out what that is. The last 24 hours to the last 20 days. The short term is the last 1 hour to the last 24 hours. I find the long term to be more useful than the short term. So this is probably my second favorite sort. And then I'm looking for the values to match up with the Elder Impulse daily. which is, you can see from this description, is a technical indicator or a combination of those, MACD, exponential moving average, things like that. So when I see a match of both the sentiment and the technicals, I want to investigate that further and perhaps make a purchase today. I went through some of these this morning. I have alerts on Civic and ADA. I actually have a buy order in on ADA, hasn't filled yet. So we'll look at those in a minute. But since this morning's review, we have some new data. IOTEX is very bullish on sentiment and bullish on the daily, Elder Impulse Daily. I've got that one up here, so let's check it out. Okay, on the day chart, like most coins, it was pumping late last year and big slides since then. In the past, I've shown you 80–90% drops, but I'm not going to do that anymore. I think we all know they've all done that since late last year and early this year. On the hour chart, this is worth looking at. Since the 9th, so in less than a week, it's up over 24%. Little dip today, but working its way back up again. On the 5-minute, looks like it did a kind of a dead cat bounce here, punched below the bottom of the Bollinger Band, bounced all the way up through the SMA line and into the top of the Bollinger Band. So we're too late for an entry on this based on this information. Distance between the Bollinger Bands kind of squeezy at 2.5%. What I'd rather see is, it's not a real good example, but something like this, a bubble and then a dip sequence and then a green candle rising up. So how do we find those? How do we find those 1, 2, 3 dips described in the iCoinPro teaching? It's my favorite way to trade, is find a dip and have it start coming back up. So I like to go to my 15-minute chart. I actually got ahead of myself. There is another thing we can do. If you're not comfortable with indicator alerts and divergence, which is what I'm going to talk about next, you can look at the chart. I think even a new person can look and see where the candles are accumulating. Like right about here, there's some support on the 5-minute chart. So this is where I'd want to put a price alert. This is multiple touches here and it keeps bouncing back up on the 5-minute. We have another set of touches down here at 0.3644. So about 3.6 cents. Up here about 3.88 cents. So those are a couple areas you could put price alerts. So to do that, you can draw this line and put an alert on the line. But if you just want to add an alert, like this one's right at 39 cents. I like round numbers. So and then I like to put what information source I use. So that's going to be my long-term sentiment buy. You can type it in. Once you put it in once, it'll show up. And there's your alert. You're good to go. So as you know, I prefer indicator alerts. I'm going to delete these. On the 15-minute chart. Because I find when some of these dip on these indicators and start to come back up, they look like 1, 2, 3 dips, or at least 1, 2 dips on the 5-minute chart. So when the alert goes off on the 15, I will often go to the 5 to check out the situation over there. And then a lot of times I'll just go ahead and trade when I see one of these dips like this. This is the money flow index. And this is a relative strength index, the MFI, the RSI. These are my two of my favorite indicators. I also like divergence. There's a disagreement between the indicators and the price action. And I've just demonstrated many times in other videos how I find this divergence indicator. If you want to know how to download indicators, go ahead and speak up and I'll show you that real quick. Okay, so if you want to use divergence, you can right click on one of these divergence indicators. And we want positive divergence, once per bar close, that's important. And then long-term sentiment buy. I think I'm gonna go ahead and put this one in. However, we did have a bearish divergence on the CCI indicator from about half an hour ago. So we'll see. You see how it switched like that and added a couple others. So the candle hasn't closed yet, so this could go away or it might stick. That's what we call repainting when they change during the candle action. That's why it's important on your indicators, on your indicator alerts to put when the candle closes or once per bar close. You always want to use that for indicator alerts. The slight downside is the coin action, especially on a 15-minute chart. You might get a worse entry point, but it's better than doing that, a slightly less than perfect entry point, than getting into an alert and then it disappears and now you have no real basis for your trade. Okay. And on the MFI, we have a drop. I like to look at the most recent dips and recoveries to see if they were profitable. So on this one here, yesterday morning, we had a dip and a recovery. And so the entry would have been right about here. Right about here. And 1.5%, not bad. Then it dips, but it makes a nice recovery. You know, if you make it, if you hold on this long, you have more than a 6% recovery or profit. That's a really good day trade. And this one from this morning, you'd have gotten in about here, dipping about 2.8%. You'd be up about 1% now with bearish divergence forming. So on that one. And then the RSI didn't drop below the 30 value at all. 20 is the oversold area for the MFI. 30 is the oversold for the RSI. So put your alert here on the MFI, crossing up 20. And once per bar close and wherever you found the trade. Now I just put that divergence alert here. I'm not going to do two of them. So, and on the RSI, you can do that. Actually, I have one on the RSI I'm going to look at later. So let's look at that coin when it comes up.
CJ, can I ask you about the inputs and on the MFI and the RSI? Are they just as it's downloaded from TradingView, or do you change them?
That's a good question. What Tom's talking about are these settings here on the indicator. You can change these. So the standard length is 14. Since I'm on the 15-minute chart, you know, that seems reasonable to me. If I was, when I'm scalping and I'm on like a 1-minute chart or a 5-minute chart, I do change these. I usually lower them, but I just go with the template or the standard for the 15-minute chart. Okay. Any other questions on IOTEX before we look at something else? Okay.
CJ, why is it that you lower it on some trades?
Well, the time frame is lower. I know that. Let's go back to this. Sometimes I just want more sensitive information.
Okay.
If I'm looking for just to get like a 0.3 or 0.5%, Let's go to the 5-minute chart on here. And we'll get rid of this. So we're talking about the MFI. If I lower this to 14, let's say lower it to 10,
Hmm.
see how it changes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now I
I-
get more, more potential oversold action
Just
and
wanted to know.
overbought action. So
Gotcha. Thank you.
yeah. And say the 3-minute or the 1-minute, I might go, say 7. See how but the action's a lot more frenetic and scattered and
Yep.
yeah. So
Well, thanks.
welcome. Okay, any other questions on that?
Quick question. So if you were trading on like a higher time frame, like a 30-minute or an hour, 45-minute, then what would you change those to, the MFI?
Well, I'd probably leave them alone
Okay,
because it is indicator time frame is the chart. So it's going to adjust for the time frame.
okay,
But like I emphasized before, when I'm looking for a scalp, which is even smaller than day trading,
mhm,
I sometimes mess around with the settings.
okay.
That's
And
advanced
then-
stuff.
So then when you choose your coin and I guess price, do you manually go into the manual trader into Carbon? And once it kicks in, do you push it through to the manual in Carbon?
Well, we're not talking about Carbon yet. We'll do
Okay.
that in the second
Okay.
Zoom.
Got it. Okay.
Uh,
All right.
But if you have a question related to manual trading, otherwise, we can talk about that. So,
Okay.
all right.
Thanks.
Okay, well, I think we're done with that. And we will look at Civic. No, that's not the one. Look at ADA since I'm in that one. I'll have a buy order in. See, I saw this dip and I thought we might start going to do a dip sequence. So I set my buy order down around this vicinity and it kind of went up and sideways. So it hasn't been filled yet. If I had an alert go off, this one went off here. I set an RSI alert because when I was looking at it, there were a couple times where the RSI triggered. Well, there's one time where the RSI triggered here and made a nice gain where the MFI did not trigger. So I went with an RSI alert on this morning and that triggered, about an hour and a half ago. So, but I got ahead of myself. Let's take a quick look at the day chart. Get rid of this. Again, ADA was well over $1, $1.50. Not that well last year. On the hour, has been trending up since the 9th, up over 18%, but lost over half of that. 5-minute, kind of squeezy. Only 2% between the Bollinger Bands. And again, I thought that dip sequence might start forming, but it hasn't. And it punched above the SMA line. So this is invalidated. We'll have to start over. For a price alert, probably this area here, around 54 cents would be a good entry. There's some support here, about 54.5 cents. Actually, I think that's where my buy order is. So that would be one way to go. Otherwise, it's our indicator alerts again. And again, I chose the RSI. Here's how I did that. Alert on RSI. crossing up 30 is the oversold area. Once per bar close, and that was a long-term sentiment buy. So that's how you do that. Any questions on that RSI alert? Okay. And then I'm leaving the alert on. Actually, I'm starting to use some of these alerts for additional purchases. You know, ladder buying, in case the position goes against me, I can get in again if it dips again and comes back up. So it's something I've been tinkering with the last few days. I'll let you know how that goes. That's a new approach for me. Okay, any questions on ADA? Cardano. Okay, we'll do one more on Altcoin Alert, then we'll bounce over to iCoinPro. There are other ways to sort this. I've done social activity sorts before, looking for whatever's fire, trading activity fire. This Civic looks good, but it's up 16% already. I think that explains the mediocre or neutral AA score, because AA probably thinks it's played out already. But all this other stuff looks pretty good. So let's check it out.
So CJ, I have a quick question.
Okay.
When you said you like to stay above 80%, I'm not seeing those percentages.
Yeah, we haven't had any in a couple of weeks. And you're fairly
No,
new,
I don't.
right?
Yeah, I'm very new, but I don't even see where you find these percentages.
Oh, right here on the AA score.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
it's not really, well, yeah, it is a percentage actually. So
I've never seen over 80 then. Oh, okay, that's what you're saying.
yeah, that's what I'm complaining about.
Hmm.
It's not the fault necessarily of, if the data isn't there, then, you can't blame Altcoin Alert for not producing it. And there have been times, most of the time there's something over 80. And when the market was pumping up, yeah, we saw 80s and 90s all the time, but in this sideways slog we're in now, the data just isn't there. So when and if the market starts to pump up again, we'll see, all the AA scores we can stand. So, okay, where was I?
But you still did a buy on ADA on Cardano, even though it wasn't above 80.
Right. If I'm going to rely on the AA score, I want it to be above 80. If I'm going to rely on some of these other sorts, I had bullish on the long-term sentiment and the elder impulse.
Got
So
it.
that made me interested in that. So there's more than just the AA score. That's what I'm trying to emphasize.
Okay.
Okay. And Ariana posted in the chat, she thinks the monthly chart is finally starting to look promising, but still hasn't confirmed. Yeah, on longer term charts, I would tend to agree with that. And that's why I look at the day chart and the hour to see if there's chances, if there's potential structure showing that it can return. I like dips and retraces, so I want to make sure there's evidence of a potential retrace. And so on the on the hour chart we looked at, it went down 7%. So my thinking, it's got a good chance to return 7%. Bryce and CryptNation says price has memory. And that's why I look at those things. Okay, Civic, that's where I was. All right, so on the day chart, yeah, it looks like all the others we've seen big drops since the end of last year. On the 1 hour, I don't know if I like this at all. A big giant spike out of nowhere. Some whale fell on his mouse or something at his computer and and put his life savings in Civic or something. When I see a spike like this, 67% in 1 hour, that's kind of suspicious. And it's just gone mostly down since then. Yeah, this is why I blew this off this morning, because yeah, this was like this yesterday and then just went straight down. This might be something to short. those of you who do that kind of thing. I think Civic might be on Bybit. So I'm not going to look at this. Let's look at something else. I looked up New Cipher, but the volume was poor. It's like 100,000 or something. CELR, yeah. This one's interesting because it's got these bullish values here, but it's down nearly 9%. Got that one open. So day chart. Had a pump in March, almost 8 cents. Actually did break through 8 cents, then dropped quite a bit since then. Okay, on the 1 hour, this is getting repetitive as well. A lot of coins have had a nice move since the 9th. It's 130%, but dropping today. This was almost a dip sequence, kind of weird one, like a leaning bubble here. 1, 2, third dip here. So this would have been, it's unusual to have this much candle action before a third dip. That entry would have been here. And 1.85%, almost 2% to the SMA line, not bad. And dipping down from there, so. But we're too late for that one. So let's go to the 15-minute. You don't have to do this on the 15-minute. You can use, 20 or 30. I use the 30-minute chart when I'm not real confident. So, sometimes even the hour chart to put my alerts. Actually, we didn't do a price alert. Yeah, I'm not really seeing any support other than this right here. Yeah, I don't really see a good price alert option here. Okay, on the 15-minute, we had a drop here, wee hours of the morning, recovery right about here, and got 4.87%. We like that. This one dropped. Well, if you caught it after this candle, this is a great trade. 5-6% in 15 minutes. We like that. But I can't quite tell when this would have triggered. If it triggers on this candle, then it's not a good trade because you get in here and it would drop like this, like 10%. But if you ladder buy this on a spot trade, then you probably buy in again if you left that alert on, right about in this vicinity, and you'd be good to go on a ladder buy, assuming it does recover. Okay, I think I would go with. Yeah, looks like the MFI is a little bit better. So that's your alert there. Crossing up 20. Once per bar close. And I think this is the long-term sentiment sort. So that's what you'd put there. Okay, any questions on this before we go over to iCoinPro? Okay. iCoinPro, the home of the 1, 2, 3 dip. There's two information sources I like. The Buddy Coin Crawler and the RSI Spy. Start with the RSI Spy. Sorting by the 1 hour RSI. So I'm looking for those that are below 30 that are oversold in the 1 hour chart. And had one earlier. I think it was CELR. We just looked at that. So about an hour ago, CELR was below 30, and you saw the candle action improving. So that bumped up it up to 31. Sometimes I'll look at some of these values if I don't see anything I like here. Not that familiar with any of these coins. So we'll look at one of them. What's the Syscoin? Volume is 1.2 million on Binance. It's not great. We'll check it out. See where else one can find this. Binance, Bittrex on KuCoin. Binance US. Interesting. And we'll look at Binance. A lot of sideways candles here. That usually means poor volume. I don't care for that. What else can we look at? None of these volumes are any good. Phantom's a Bitcoin pair. All right, well, if we don't have one, we don't have one. I'm not going to force it. We'll go to the Buddy Coin Crawler. And you can use this to choose your buddy coins. What coins you're going to follow. If you go to Justin Clark's forum, he usually indicates what he's looking at. 3 or 4 coins that he's following. He's a co-creator of this program, so that can be useful. While we're here, let's look at the Fear and Greed Index. We're up to 45. That's not bad. We're only in fear now instead of extreme fear. Anyway, back to the Buddy Coin Crawler. You can sort by the average low to the SMA. That's a 24-hour value, or the current low to SMA. So I'm not sure exactly what time frame that is. I think it's an hour. And on the average low, on the 24-hour, I'm looking for 5% or better. That's going to be the low for the coin, and then 24 hours up to the value, up to the SMA line, that pink line that's the middle of my Bollinger Bands. And then I'm going to look at the volume too. So Optimism, which I've heard of, but I haven't traded before, it's nearly 5%. It's $91 million in volume. 24 hours, we like that. OPUS, let's check it out. Let's look out on Coinbase. Geez, no volume. Oh, I know. USD pair. That's better. Okay, day chart. It's only been on Coinbase since June. That's probably enough for, well, not really. I'd rather have a longer history. So in this situation, I'll look at it on a different exchange. So Bybit, it's about the same. This might be a new project, so this is probably the best we can get for history. So this one's only about 2 months old. On the hour, the 8 hour. Yeah, big move up here, over $4. Lost most of that. It has been coming back. Most of the coins have been coming up, but this one not so much. It has had a move today over 13%, so that's pretty good. The 5 minutes been trending up pretty well, but we're a bit late. It's beyond the SMA line here, halfway between that and the top of the Bollinger Band. Not really good entrance. Got some support here on a potential price alert right here, about $1.45. Again here, about $1.41. And again, down here, about $1.38. So these are potential price alerts if you want to get a good entry. Regarding an indicators alert. Let's look at divergence. Bullish divergences here did not do well. Actually, none of these did that well. 1% here. Almost 3% here, and then the rest of these were losses. So if you ladder bought here at 5% down, and again here at about 8% down, you could have gotten up to your first position in profit. Your first position would have been a small loss, and the second and third position would have done really well. And then this bullish divergence obviously did very well. 10%, that's a really good day trade. So I might do a divergence alert here myself. Positive, once per bar close. And this is my buddy coin crawler. This is the information source for that, create, and there we go. Looks like the MFI and the RSI would have produced similar alerts. The RSI is a little more sensitive. It picked this one up where the MFI did not. That one was profitable, though not a whole lot of profit on that one. That was like it's 2.6%. That's pretty good. So with that in mind, I go with the RSI alert. Crossing up 30. Once per bar close and buddy coin crawler. But since I have the divergence alert, I'm going to stick with that one.
Hi.
I got a background call.
What
so...
do you think? If we give her 24, then she's going to want another 24 to me. I don't know.
I mean, I think giving her 24 hours.
I got to mute people.
The retailing that I just handed her today is not unreasonable. But
Forgot how to mute everybody.
Tell her there will be no more extensions. That she either takes it or we're going to be filing first thing Wednesday.
Okay.
It's your call. I mean, is that okay?
See, I just hate giving her whatever she asks for. To be, I'm being,
gonna pause this recording.
I mean, like I'll say, I would see my inclination is is to counter and say, well, I'll give you till 3 o'clock so we can.
All right, I got everybody muted on that. So if you want to speak up, you'll have to unmute. Okay, where was I? Okay, am I still on optimum? If I'm not, let me know. I think I was done with that.
Yep.
I was done with that alert though. Yeah, it's shown the RSI and I set the divergence alert. We're at about 40 minutes now. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Let's look at Buddy Coin Crawler. Nothing else really jumped out at me anyway. And we looked at CELR, which was the one I looked at this morning based on this information. So have some overlap there. That happens pretty commonly if you're in both iCoinPro and Altcoin Alert. There's going to be some overlap. So, all right. Well, I'll go ahead and end it here unless there's some questions. Any questions about Altcoin Alert or iCoinPro? All right. Well, if you're watching on the recording, I appreciate that. Please check out the opportunities in the comments. They help support the channel. Otherwise, I hope to see you live on Friday If you're in Carbon, please stick around. We'll start that Zoom in a couple minutes. Thanks.
Thank you.